Hey everybody, Monkeypuzzle here, and it's time for some more ARK. And I am collecting dodo eggs and dillo eggs, except the dillo eggs I was going to collect with you guys watching have despawned, but that's alright. I've been here quite a while at my coast camp because I was just so enamored with all the aquatics updates I did in the last episode. I did the scuba gear and the raft and also that megalodon, and that's been so fun that I've been hanging out here quite a bit at the coast camp, and in that time quite a few dinos have laid eggs, which is very auspicious for stuff I want to do today because the dodo egg kibble, which we used earlier for the Mesopithecus, turns out that that's actually also very good for the ichthyosaurs. So that's awesome. And then for the plesiosaurs, the Rex eggs are very good, and we have a ton of those back at Bronto Bluff, which I looked at the name of it actually officially is like the Maw or something really unattractive like that. And the other eggs we've been getting a lot of too are the dillo eggs. And those are good for all the rock collecting guys, like the Doedicurises, which I always want more of because I always want more stone at this point. I want to build tons of stuff with stone. So with all this new underwater stuff happening over here, I decided it's time to do some construction. And things are kind of torn up over here, and I have been sketching with wooden pillars and thatch ceilings. And this is just a sketch. I'm just using these to try to figure out what I'm doing and get things lined up, and then we're going to do it all in stone. And what I'm trying to make here is a couple of things. One is a bridge, which will be kind of a public works kind of project for everybody just to be able to cross over this river right here. And it could have been such a simple bridge. It could have been just a little low thing right across here, but that would have been too easy. Instead, I wanted to leave this rock here for, I don't know why. I guess it's just cool to have big rocks laying around. And so this whole thing was sort of framed by what it took to get a pillar on each side of this and to be able to span over it. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And so I got that. And so that's the height of the bridge. It's going to go that high. But also, I wanted a bridge that was not quite a drawbridge, but had a big enough opening here that you could get your creatures through, your megalodons, your ichthyosaurs, and your plesiosaurs. Not that there's a whole lot of place to go up this particular river. There's rivers up and down the coast, so they're better for this. And also so you could get a raft through if you needed to. And I don't know, it's just cool to build big things. And I'm going to use this bridge sort of as an extension for my base as well. We're going to have lots of spaces within it where we can build floors and rooms and so on. And I also like the idea of being able to look down into my coast camp base as you cross the bridge. That's going to be kind of neat. So this line here intersected my fence, and so I had to tear it down. And instead, this is going to be the line. You can see also I've been doing a bunch of composting here while I've been hanging out doing all this coast stuff. These guys have been pooping like crazy and laying eggs like crazy. You can see right now that Reach is just full of fertilizer. So, yeah, I'm going to have to export that back to the interior base pretty soon. I haven't checked on that in a couple days, but I was there day before last, I think, and made sure that all the crops were fertilized up. So hopefully they're still good, and we'll go back and do that. But the main thing that this is for, this bridge and everything, is I wanted the bridge to be the basis for a harbor out here. A pen, an underwater pen for my creatures, like my megalodons and the other creatures to come. Maybe a place to dock rafts up to. And yeah, just to kind of have aquatic architecture here. So I've been working on that too, and this is me kind of trying to extend the line that I created with the bridge and have that inform the front of the structure over here, the way that I've set the underground pillars here. And I used a combination of snapping the pillars from each other and then also using the ceilings to extend them so that this line is the same line. These guys are aligned with each other. And I've learned a lot about pillars. And lastly, you know, this is just an excuse to build things, because that's really the next thing that I'm super into in ARK is just building stuff. I get my materials, not for free exactly, because I spend my time on them, but been gathering lots of materials with dinos. Over here, I've borrowed some dinos back at the interior base. You know, I've got my own quarry crew and my whole pack of mammoths. But over here, I decided just to borrow some. I've borrowed Az's mammoths, which are freely offered by him. He's actually not even playing on the server at all lately anymore. So I'm kind of saving their lives too, because they were starving to death over in his base. But I'm not going to keep them. I'm just borrowing them for this. And his Spinos and other carnivores were just free roaming, wandering all over the place. Ooh, we got an egg right here. Ooh, that's a pretty egg. I wonder what the Spino eggs are good for. I'll have to look that up. And that was pretty entertaining, having them wander around. This guy, Dark Flare, was just tearing stuff up. He was just going nuts. He was so full of meat that he had more meat than he had slots for. But I stopped them, one, because they were killing all the spawns around here. But also, I wanted to use them to protect Az's mammoths, because I've got my base torn open for the moment here. And I couldn't put them in there anyway, because those gates are not big enough to bring these guys in. And then I borrowed Draax's, his Dodocuruses, which are also freely offered up, but I'm not going to keep them. I'm just using them. Rather than spending a bunch of hours taming, I got straight into materials gathering. And now I've got these guys just came back from a run, so they're all full for the most part, what they can carry. And I got these over here are full of stone. And then I'm kind of encumbered, so I can't move too fast. These are full of stuff over here. And then all these are full of stuff as well. So this is what I've got put aside for material so far. So yeah, I started to say that I've got this huge input of materials coming now from using dinos to harvest. It's kind of the valve of the creative palette, was the sentence I used trying to describe something on Reddit last night. Someone was saying, what's the point of taming a bunch of dinos? And like, well, one is, there's a lot of reasons I said, but one of them is that it opens up this flow of materials to build stuff with. So speaking of building stuff, that's what I've been doing. And I was going to start with you guys, but it's kind of tricky figuring out where things can place properly, and there was a lot of trial and error. I spent hours figuring out where my lines were going to go and starting certain ones and realizing they wouldn't place in certain things. But a big goal of mine with this is to have no peeking pillars through my ceilings. If you don't know what that means, see how these ceilings on top of here, the pillars don't peek through them. And that's a problem I see a lot of people have. And I watched a video that I'm going to link in here. Let me look real quick to see what the name of the person was. It was Sanikoe. Sanikoe, Sanikoe. And I'll link to him or her down in the description. It was just a short little video, not the most professional, but it showed how to build without them peeking, and that was very revelatory for me. So the basis of it is that pillars can snap as long as the terrain allows it, which is a big if, but check that out. See how that's kind of a half spacing, and then that's a full spacing there. And so you have to put pillars about that often. And now if you place well, actually, that's the wrong one. Let's do another one on top of that. Now, if you place a ceiling on that, it will not peek through. But the way most people have been building, I've been watching, is they work out with the ceilings like this, and then they go as far as it will go. You can't place another ceiling from there. And then what they'll do is they'll put a pillar in like that, and then work their way down to the ground like so, right? And then what happens though, you see, I gotta actually get up there. I didn't give myself away. Hold on, let me go around this way, the way I've been getting up there when I can, and I've got the dexterity, and I'm not too overloaded to do it, is I've been coming up, woo, woo, whoop. That's where I get stuck a lot. Let me try it again on camera. I won't waste too much time failing, trying to get up here. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, one more time. Here we go. Oh, I think I'm too heavy. Yeah, rather than build a ladder, I wonder if you can jump that far. Woo, you can, even farther. There we go. All right, so now when I demolish this, it's peaking, and that's ugly. Now, one thing I figured out you can do, and actually this will be a test for me, the whole thing is putting the ceilings afterwards. So if I do it like this, that's gonna peak. So let's go ahead and demolish that again. Happy to waste a few materials for you guys, for your education. So let's demolish that. But now I think if we use the ceilings to place the pillars that way, but we demolish the pillar and then put the pillar back, now if we put it, it usually doesn't peak. I don't know if that counts as peaking or not. I think that's peaking. Anyway, so most of the time when you use the ceilings to find where the pillar goes, but then you demolish everything but the base pillar and then build back up, you don't get the peaking. But the main way not to, and I'm just going to demolish this because it was kind of wrong, and that one too, and I'm starving. Oh, here's a new trick, by the way. I've been living off the mejo berries from the harvesting with the mammoths. When I've been harvesting with them, I've been only leaving the narcos and the mejos, and I've been throwing everything else away. But if you have things in a slot, when you go into your inventory, you can just press the number, and look how fast you can eat those. It saves hammering on the keys to eat all those berries. You can just eat a whole stack at once. But the main thing anyway is snapping. When you snap, the pillars don't peak. So that's pretty cool. Now the trick is with when you change elevation in the terrain, and I didn't leave enough of this to show you that happening, but basically like when you go up from here to here, if it next one embeds too far into the ground, it won't place. See, that one would, but this one wouldn't, because it would have been in there. So what you got to do is just build it up one, and then you can snap to the terrain. So in doing this method, basically the gist of it is you got to start from the lowest point. And if I started this all over again, now that I know where it goes, it would have been best to start all the way down here at the very lowest pillar, because that would have been the easiest one to build up from. Because you can always build them higher and then move on and up the terrain. But to go down, you can't snap going down. This wouldn't snap to here. Oops. Actually, you know what I can do? Is since I've been building underwater, I've been using that. So that's cool. I can do that, and the flippers. Might as well put the mask on too, even though it restricts my field of view. You can see how pretty it is down here. Look at that. That's such a nice thing. I haven't tried to see if you can harvest these or not, but I don't want to try because they're gorgeous and I don't want to risk breaking them. Anyway, so I hope that all made sense to you. You know, so if you go down, like I had to go from there down to here, then you got to use the pillars to work your way down, or excuse me, the ceilings, and then doing the pillars from those, but you can fix it afterwards if you care about that. And that's what I'm going to do by taking them down to the base, demolishing, and then building back up, and then placing. So if we go like, say like this, or let me see. Let's see if this one will do it. Let's demolish this ceiling so it doesn't conflict. And let's see if I build up from here, if this one will peak. There you go. See? No peeking like that. So that's bad. That's good. So the main gist is always put the ceiling last, build the pillars without the ceilings, and then put the ceilings. And mostly, if you can, place the pillars by snapping from each other and work from the lowest point and work your way up. So now what I need to do is I'm deciding what this front wall is going to look like. I think if I come out to here, that's going to be far enough. It's going to give this much space inside, which is not huge, but it's definitely enough to park some megalodons and some other creatures. If I went out any further, then I'd have to build up even more vertically. I could come out to here. Whoa, look at all those trilobites. I could come out to here, but I think that's going to use way too much materials for now. I could always extend to there later if I want to. But yeah, and I also care about these ceilings snapping and not peaking on top of these pillars, because I want this to end up being a little walkway out to here too. A little dock where you can come and get on various rafts and stuff too. And right in the middle here, we're going to put a big gate. I don't know, either the big metal one or the big stone behemoth gate as a way in. So this will probably be a multi-episode project, but I wanted to show you the beginning before I got too far. We can do a little placement here. So I think this side is okay as far as how the pillars go. I was thinking maybe this pillar protrudes too much here, because this is a nice place to dock my raft right here. But actually the raft I can dock onto this thing, so that's cool. So right here, these two will be the center of where the gate goes. So we go 3 over from those two, 1 back, 3 over, and 1 back, right? So from here, these two, we go 3 over, 1 back, and then we go, see if I can snap here. Okay. Yep. You got to make sure they snap properly onto that, and you're not just free placing it. And then we go right here, 1 back. So I think now we are the same as that other one. And this one from here, I think is just going to go back to this stone. I think that's a good place for it to cut off. So yeah, here's a good example. Going uphill, you can't snap there, so you place one going up, and now I can snap that there. And that pretty much gets me all the way there. If I put a ceiling on top of that, I probably would want to go actually one more and see, no peeking. And that can't place there because the rock is obstructed, but I'm saving the rock. So I'll just have to cheat it over with a ceiling right here, and hopefully that will look all right. I can't place that either. Well, I'll figure that out later. Too bad you can't just embed things into the rock like that. But I guess I could bring it over this way. So then that will kind of informs then what's going to happen over here. So that on this side, we came back 3 and we're going over 1. Is that what we want to do here? I don't know if it actually needs to be completely symmetrical. Welcome to Monkeypuzzle's underwater construction. We could go back a little bit, or we could just claim as much space as possible and go straight up here. I'd say let's do that. I think we're symmetrical enough otherwise. So that can't go there. We place that one there. And now That will snap. That one goes there. And I need a bunch more of the pillars. You can see I've got the engrams down in my hotbar for easier construction. Yep, and now let's see if you can make it all the way up the hill. Let me go grab a few more materials and we'll carry on from there for a moment. And then what I want to do is fly back to the interior base, make some kibble, and see if we can grab us an ichthyosaurus and maybe a plesiosaurus and kind of keep adding to our whole little aquatic creature collection. Anyway, and once I'm done kind of sketching this out with the wood, then we'll start going with the stone and changing this all out to stone. This is not going to be just a thatch and wood construction. So all this stuff, by the way, I'm going to demolish. That was just basically the connector line, like I said, to get this aligned with that so they're all on the same grid. And I wanted to do that rather than doing the whole fence foundation thing, which just kind of drives me nuts, and it's just not a very good way to go. So here's an example where I may not be able to get up the hill. It snaps at the halfway point, but it doesn't snap at the full point. Oh, there we go. Cool. You never know. It's always kind of iffy whether it's going to actually work or not. So let's just build that up all the way. We got our snap. That's awesome. It looks like we're going to make it up the hill. So yeah, that's the whole trick really, is just snapping the pillars in place. And that lines everything up. So we made it all the way up here. And that's great. And what's going to happen with these now, let me demolish the tops of those. Oh, actually that's the only place I can put it. So maybe I don't even need that one. This is where the dock is going to start, and you'll have like this little stone thing that you can walk out onto here and go out, and the gate will be peeking up over there somewhere. So yeah, I'll work on this some more. I got to figure out where, oh, let me take this off. And I don't want to waste all my scuba tank either. Not that it's that hard to do, but let me just put my clothes back on. Get back into the overland gear. Yeah, I got to figure out where it comes down. I'm going to do that with the inclined roofs rather than the ramps, because they actually have less of an incline than it's less steep with the roofs than it is with the ramp. And the ramp, I think, is only wood. Doesn't look very good. So yeah, we're going to have an incline coming down here somewhere. And then I'm going to build this all out with ceilings and walls too, and give it some three-dimensional stuff, and make places you can go inside there as well and hang out and so on. So yeah, this is part community project, part my harbor and base, you know, which other folks would be welcome to use as well. So kind of a real hybrid that way. And that's one of the reasons I felt okay borrowing the critters. And also seemed to make more sense to use critters that were just hanging out here rather than taming more creatures, spending more time, and getting more creatures rendering around here. And just one other upgrade I want to show you before I break is I've made backup of one set each of the basic scuba stuff, and then I've got a bunch of tanks here too, so I can just keep swapping out tanks as I need to. And what else? Oh yeah, over here I had this whole line of fire pits, basically, because campfires. Because when you go out with this guy, and you always get attacked by a shark, when you fight back and end up eating that shark, you just get loaded full of meat and prime meat. So I would park him there and real quick cook up all the prime meat. And then over here I've been putting that in one of these guys and stocking up on prime meat jerky. So far I've got 22 of that, and it's building. I've got 7 more here. So yeah, every time, this is from my last trip out right here. So building that up, and that's going to really help with taming as well. So yeah, I'm going to just grab these eggs over here, and after I clean this stuff out, and I'm going to head back to the interior base and turn them into kibble. And I'll see you there. Bye-bye.